My name is Troy Rydeb, Renewal Remodels and Additions. We're in Puyallup, Washington, and we specialize in home remodeling. So when you do a PSA with a client, it walks them through the entire structure of the project for their house, gets everything dialed in prior to actually starting it, and so you have a lot more success to not only be on time, but on budget. And for most of us contractors, on time and on budget are some of our biggest downfalls. I think the biggest thing for all of you contractors out there is to identify the job mix. The AI tool really helps with that. And then you play around with all the different numbers with profit margins and all the different targets. That is by far my favorite tool. The cash flow tool is also it has a number of hours left to sell or that you need to sell in a given month. I love that because then you actually do know when you're going to overwhelm your staff and know when you need to pull back or when you need to go after more. So you can kind of strategically plan. You can go as far out as you want or as short time period as you want. You don't see all those little parts and components that kind of go into an hourly rate for a specific employee. It makes you very conscious of not only their time but their efficiency, and then also encouraging and walking alongside them to train them to fully understand that, how important that is, so that the company can be successful as a whole. Because if they're successful, they're going to make the entire company successful. Aspire encourages us to think. We know our business is the best. They're encouraging you and giving you ideas of different areas to think about that maybe we have a profit leak that we need to plug. They have the experience with all the different contractors they work with, so they can bring up things that maybe we're not thinking about. You know, your P&Ls, guys, show your margin. You need to be able to transfer that into markup when you're talking about your different job mixes. And if you don't have a job mix yet, you will if you join Aspire. You can start talking about markup and margin and how things need to be marked up differently. It's kind of a great tool that shows you how many of each job you need. When you play with the numbers, everything kind of changes to the number of leads that you need to bring in the door, to the type of leads you need to bring in, to how many conversions you need. Your time management can start going haywire and you can start losing focus. That's the nice thing about Aspire, is they're keeping you focused. Even if things start changing in your business, transitions are happening, you're still required and accountable to that focus. Diving into the numbers, making strategic changes, those are things that they encourage, and as they're the squeaky wheel, you start going, okay, I'll do it. You know, if they weren't there, the can would just get kicked down the road because there's another fire that needs to be put out. As a business owner, there's always something that can pull your attention from what's important. They're keeping our minds on the business and not letting our shoulders shrug when we start feeling comfortable with where we're at. They think about things that you don't think about a lot of times, especially when you're in the weeds and you're emotionally involved with your company. They're not emotionally involved with your company. They can tell you the truth.